Very warm welcome to all the participants, respected faculty members in the session where we'll be discussing about goal setting and its interrelation with decision making. I hope the coming 2 hours are of value for you and as well as for me. And I pray for the session to be more interactive. And the way it was yesterday, I would be seeking a lot of inputs from your side because I feel when adults are learning, it's a mutual learning process. So I would appreciate more input so that I end up also learning new things from the learned participants that I have today. Okay, so before I start today's session, I would just like to reflect on what was discussed yesterday. Any question or any afterthought of what we discussed yesterday on goal setting by any of the participants? I would appreciate to know. Or any new thought, anything that you want to put in before I start today's session about goal setting, which you found not in line with you yesterday, or which new idea that you got after yesterday's session. Anything that you want to put up now, I would be happy to know. Participants, I request please be interactive. At least say yes, we are in line. Use chat box more frequently because that is a great tool offered by technology. So that without disrupting, also we keep on listening to each other. We keep on getting the point of view of all the participants here. So anybody? Yes, okay, ma'am. Fine. So we will be more interactive today, and that's a promise I would like to take from all my participants. Though yesterday was also very active participation, and I believe similar lines would be continued today. So on a starting note, I would like all the participants to think. Take a moment and think about various type of people that we encounter in our life. Okay, in our life while doing day-to-day presentation, day-to-day meetings, day-to-day activity with various people, we tend to witness certain circumstances, we tend to understand new kind of personality in our life. So while interacting and while dealing with different kind of people, we always understand and see that different people have reached different heights in their life. Let me just share my presentation here. Is it visible to everybody? Can anybody please give me a feedback on this?
Yes, visible, ma'am.
Okay. So, what I was discussing was about different kinds of people that we get to see in the course of time of our life. We have seen that different people have different achievements. Somebody who was very close to us, was our neighbor, was very close friend, has reached a very great milestone, which we never assumed or which we never thought that this would happen. Or on contrary, there would be somebody which we thought that this person is going to succeed, this person is going to reach a lot of new milestones and a lot of success he'll be getting in life. And when we see this person after certain years, we realize that okay, he has not done that great as per our standards in the life. So, during such thoughts and interactions, it always happens that these thought provoking ideas come up in our mind that what was it? Somebody succeeded a lot, somebody has just been where the person was. And let's take example of siblings. So one parent, most of us in the session today will have more than one siblings, and we will be like having brothers and sisters. All the sibling, all the children of one parent, one set of parent, they undergo same upbringing, similar kind of resources are given to these people, and similar kind of facilities, upbringing, social circle, environment, everything is same for all the siblings. But the end result, the end personality that comes up for different siblings, the level of achievement they have in their life vary. So I would like you to reflect here and share with me, what do you think makes the difference? What is that one thing that makes the difference? And um, just share with me that, okay, Mr. Hirak, it will be better to make the slide in full screen mode. Is it not visible now? Because I've come back to my screen. Can you all see the slide now?
And slide is visible,
Mhm.
but it will be better to make it full screen mode.
Okay, I actually wanted to have a look of the chat box also. That's why I've minimized it.
Okay, okay, sure, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So please, if you would like to share with me, anybody of you among you can share why do you think that different people have different kinds of achievement in life? Why somebody is reaching sky high and why somebody is just maintaining the status quo? Yes, Ms. Pravina is telling it's mindset. Yes, attitude. True, mindset and attitude are very important role players here. Anything else related to the thing that we are discussing? More closure. These two are very correct. Anybody else who would like to contribute in the discussion here? What makes the difference? What makes somebody successful? If we call it, if we go by the cliche, somebody is successful and somebody is unsuccessful. What makes the difference as per you? I would like more participation here. Please write in the chat box or feel free to unmute yourself and share with all the participants. What do you think? What, as per you, is the difference creating factor for making people more successful or less successful? Mr. Sanjeev is telling it is capability of doing work. Yes. And how do you define capability? If I say I am more capable than my brother, how do I define myself being more capable? A little more brainstorming on this. Mr. Anil is telling, I think it is the setting of goal and making efforts to achieve it. Yes, Mr. Anil, you are very close to what we are going to discuss. That's very right. And Mr. Bindu, Miss Bindu is telling it is ability to finish. Yes, very nice. Setting up goal is not sufficient. We need to finish. We need to reach the finish line, and that is very true. Miss Pravina is telling yes, involvement in our work. Very true. All of the inputs that are coming are very close to what we are going to discuss. What I feel in terms of decision making and goal setting we are discussing today, what makes the difference is what kind of goal setting we do. If we take real life examples, I can very conveniently quote example of Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani. He was just a next door neighbor of people of Gujarat, the Jamnagar people who were living in that small village, and there were so many uh, boys in the same village going to the same small school and having the same resources and having the same restrictions in life, having the same misses in life. There were many things that these people were not having, they were not having access to. So somebody thought that, okay, let it be, this is the destiny and this is how I'm going to be, and I can't do much about it. But Mr. Ambani, right from the childhood, was not convenient. If we remember, I've not seen his movie, but I've read the books about him and I've seen the movie. So I think Guru movie, a lot of us might have seen, and we have witnessed how from childhood he used to set goals for himself. He used to see that, okay, this is not done. This is not sufficient for me. Whatever I have achieved, I need more. When he went abroad, he earned a lot, he made good money, but then he was not satisfied. He said, I want more. There is more that I can reach. As I was discussing yesterday, this is not my best, was his thought. And I think if we go as per my various journals and research papers, it would be very convenient for us to tell that the people who are successful or the people who achieve more in life, they don't do different things. Actually, they do things differently. I would like to repeat here, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Now, elaborating more on this, there's a general thought that comes up in our mind while we talk about people that, oh, how he has reached such a height, how he has earned so much money, or how did he buy this house, or how he is owning such a big car, or how could he get Performer of the Year award? He must have done something extra, something different from what I'm doing. But I would like to again highlight here, these people who are achieving extra milestones in their life, they are not the people who do different things. They are doing just the routine things which all of us are doing. But the way they are doing things are different. The way they are approaching the problems, the way they are trying to resolve the problems, the way they are upgrading their skills, the way they are finding right resources, the way they are doing things are differently, and that's why, and that's what contributes to the height that they have reached. That's what contributes to the overall place that they are currently holding in their life. So anybody want to discuss anything here? Anybody wants to share any experience here in the real life that they have gone through, of any such people where they feel that yes, they did different things in their life, that's why they have reached the height they were? Anybody would like to share any real life experience? Because I feel experiences make the real stories around us. So anybody would like to share his or her own story of doing a thing differently and then reaching a new milestone? Or anybody who would like to share story of somebody known, relative, friends? Any story would be great to I would be very happy to hear, and I think that will be very enlightening for the other participants to listen to real life experiences. Somebody who has done a different thing and has reached a quality high life.
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah, please, Mr. Anil, please go ahead.
I just want to share a common observation here.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us set the goals,
Correct.
many of us put in a lot of efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we do not know whether how much time it is going to take to complete the or achieve the goal. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, many of us surrender, stop
Right.
the efforts because
Mm-hmm.
we do not know how much close we are to achieve the goal, and then we fail. Some people are afraid to set the goals because they are afraid that they will not be able to put in the efforts,
Mm-hmm.
and that is why they are afraid to set the goals. So
Correct.
setting goals
Very.
is more important, and putting in efforts is important, and we should be consistent in our efforts to achieve the goal. Otherwise, there are many people who have surrendered before their goals and they have failed in their life.
Very true.
At the
Very
same
true.
time, there are some very few people who continue and they achieve the success,
Yeah.
and they are achieving the height today. That is all I wanted to
Yes.
say.
So very true, Mr. Anil. Chasing the goal is also required, not just creating it, not just identifying the skills and obstacles. Chasing the goal is very important. So, as per Mr. Anil, it is very right that somebody who is a winner actually keeps on chasing the goal, even when there are so many obstacles coming, so many challenges keep on coming, so many restrictions keep on popping up, but still the chase must go on, and finally the goals are achieved. So one example, a very common example we shared just now, was about Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani, how he overcame all the obstacles in our life. He did set a lot of goal, and he did achieve a lot. There is one more topic that we discussed yesterday, and I remember certain participants asking questions about conscious efforts, conscious goal setting. Or today, I can put in the right context, conscious decision making. So, going back to the slide where we say that winners don't do different things, they do things differently. So if I talk about a scenario where people are actually doing goal setting, they are actually doing decision making, they are randomly doing all of it without much of conscious efforts. They are doing we all of us, we take random decisions in our life. We set goals that, okay, today I need to do this, or today I'll be talking about this, I'll be discussing this with my colleague or my boss, or I would be reading this book. or I will be trying to achieve something new today. So we all do this randomly. What needs to be done more? What needs to be done a better individual to be a better performer? It's you need to do it differently, as in you need to have a more systematic approach, more conscious effort towards goal setting or decision making, and that definitely will improve your performance. I would not say that you are not performing today. Whatever wherever your field is, you are performing, but definitely there is a scope of improvement, which we all of us have. I also have a scope of improvement. So if I do a systematic approach towards, I adopt a systematic approach towards goal setting and decision making, I will definitely end up performing better. Here, I would like to take the point of view of Miss Praveena. She is telling a particular YouTuber in Tamil became very famous with more than 1 million subscribers by posting daily a video about current news, which has more than 10,000 viewers daily. I think he did the thing differently. Very true. Here, Miss Praveena, one thing there are, if you log into YouTube and put any XYZ topic on YouTube and you search, there would be thousands of video erupting up, and there would be thousands of users popping up with different videos. How, what makes the difference? Few of the viewers, few of the YouTubers, they have a lot of subscribers, they have a lot of views, but few of them, they don't have it. They all have created content, they all have most of them, they create interesting content as per them. But what makes few of the YouTubers very successful, very highly rated, highly subscribed, they achieve all those mementos from YouTube, and few of them, they don't even achieve some hundreds of likes or subscribers. What makes the difference? There must be something that they are doing differently. There must be the innovation, the technology, the voice modulation, the content. There must be something different, and that different, that unique different capability of ours is what we need to identify, so that we start doing things differently rather than keep looking for what different I need to do. I'm repeating here, what we are doing, we need to continue doing it, but doing it differently, taking a new approach towards what we are doing in day-to-day life. On this note, I'd like to do a self-reflection of what we did yesterday. If you remember, I would like to quote the process that we did yesterday, the process that we understood about goal setting yesterday. It was, let me reiterate it. Goal setting was, as per the process that we discussed yesterday, it was uh, basically about setting up a vision where I want to achieve, breaking it down into objectives, then identifying the skills, identifying the obstacles, identifying the accountability partners, moving on to developing a plan and executing it. These were the steps of goal setting that we discussed yesterday. If you want, I can put it in the chat box also. Do you want me to do that? Because we are going to do an exercise on the basis of these steps. So let me put it. The first was identifying vision, breaking it down to objectives. Then we had identifying skills and obstacles. Identifying skills and obstacles, then accountability partners, developing a plan, executing the plan, and monitoring it. So these were the steps of goal setting that we did yesterday. What I want all the participants to do now is use this format that I'm sharing now, right now on the screen, or use any format that you want, but these entries must be there in the format. You have to use it and do a goal setting exercise right now with me. Okay. Now, if you remember, there were different aspects of our life that we discussed yesterday, like our self, our finances, our work, our family, our relationships, our health. There are many things, many aspects of a human life. Today, doing this exercise, I would request you all to focus on your self development. There are other aspects of life. If we do this exercise correctly now, then the learnings from this exercise can be carried forward to all the other aspects of our life. So today I would like you all to work with me at this time. We'll spend 10 minutes on this exercise. So from now we have 10 minutes. We have to start filling up this in our copy, in our register notebook, or a blank sheet of paper. If you can copy the same format, or you can use your own format, but these informations must be there. You start doing the exercise right now, and let's set a goal for our self development now. Let's let's identify where we want to see ourselves 5 years from now. 5 years from now, how do you see yourself? Where do you want to reach in terms of yourself, your self development? I'm repeating, not your family, not your relationships, not your finances. It is about your self development. Is everybody with me in this exercise? Have you all started doing it? Okay, I'll post it as a word. How do I attach it here? Can anybody help me? How do I attach my PDF or Word here, Word file? Anybody can help me, or I can go back to the format if you want. I can just keep on sharing the format on screen, and we can work on this exercise. Ms. Pravina, do you know how to post a form Word format on this chat box? Or I can just keep on showing. Please let me know. I would like some inputs from my participants here. How do you want it? Should I show the format here? How do you want it? Copy and Control V is not working. I tried that. It is not working. What I do is I'll keep on showing the format that I have. I'll open the sheet right away here, and it should be visible. I don't want you to use exactly the same format, but the information should always be there. It's a must to have in the activity that you are doing. Can you all see the document that I'm sharing? Can you all see the goal setting exercise? Please, anybody can unmute and tell me. Can you see the goal setting exercise sheet here?
Not, madam. It is not clearly visible. If it is zoom it so that it is good for us.
Just a minute, let me see. Is this now visible? Is this now visible?
No, ma'am.
Not really. Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
Let me just I'll present again.
Ma'am, otherwise you read the content so that we can write up.
Now can you see? Can you see now?
This is better. It is better.
Is it okay now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yeah. So this goal setting exercise, the first step
Yes.
is that today, wherever you
Thank you,
are,
ma'am.
you have to identify that, you have to write it down. This is not a verbal exercise. I emphasize on writing it down on whatever platform you want. You can do it on your mobile also. You can do it on your other laptop also, or you can just use the most preferred way is of using a pen and a paper, because while we write we are actually giving our brain an instruction that you need to start working. So while writing there are nerves on our fingertips, they actually guide our brain to start working, they trigger the working. So anytime when you want your brain to start working, start writing. The more you write, the better brain would start functioning. And that's why many people while thinking they make doodles. When they doodle, their brain is triggered to think. That's why I am insisting that if you have a pen and a paper, use that to do this exercise. Start with writing about yourself, your name, what is your current age, what is the occupation you are in, what is the designation you are currently holding, and what is the qualification that you have as of today. Okay, there can be other informations that you want to put in this about your today's information. Like if you want to work for your self development, you want to reduce weight, then you can put your today's weight also in this column. So depending on your goal, you can add the specific field in this area. But these five are a mandate for your self development. So you have to write about what you are today, and then 5 years from now, how do you see yourself? I would request my participants anytime if you are going out of line or if you are missing something, please stop me and I'll reiterate whatever I'm telling. So 5 years from now, how do you see yourself? Your name obviously will be same, provided somebody does not deliberately go and change it. So your name and age will obviously be +5 from today. What occupation do you see yourself being into? What designation do you see yourself being into? And what is the qualification that you see yourself having? These qualification can be extra certifications that you are adding into profile, or extra any kind of educational development that you're doing for yourself can be added into qualification. This is a future plan, the vision that you are setting for yourself. Okay, everybody with me on this, or anybody missing something? Everybody is with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have started working. I think we have done the entries for what I am today, and we have done the entries for what, how do I see myself 5 years from now. If we have done that, then we move to the next part of this form, which says that my goals for 25th November 2026, exactly 5 years from now. Foresee, close your eyes for 2 minutes and foresee yourself standing today, 25th November, 5 years from now, 25th November 2026. Just close your eyes and imagine how do you see yourself? Where do you want to see yourself in terms of your self development? You want to have some extra degrees, you want to have better health, you want to have better personality, you want to have better place in career or a better place in relationships. For your self development, this should be your perspective, not from others perspective. So I'll give you example. You don't say that you want to be a good mother, you don't say you want to be a good professor or teacher. You say that what if I'm talking about being teacher, then you say that these are the classes that I want my students to be interested about, or these are the certifications that I want to hold on to. So this should be okay from your perspective. How do you see yourself, not how do others see yourself? Okay, so it should be from your perspective. Your goals should always be your perspective, not from others. So at least two goals we need to identify right now for 5 years from now. 25th November 2026, exactly 5 years from now. How do you see yourself? Right? Two goals, two specific goals for yourself. And now, while writing these goals, please remember SMART goals. What are SMART goals? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. SMART goals. So, whatever goal statement that you are writing here, both the statements should be specific in terms of clarity. They should be very clear. They should not be ambiguous. They should be measurable. As in, not only you should know, I can also tell by looking at you that yes, this has been done. Measurable, quantifiable, achievable, as in yes, practical. Don't put yourself into a situation where you know this cannot be done in 5 years, but still you are telling that yes, I will be doing it. Challenges should be there, but it should not be something which is non-achievable. So smart, SMA, realistic, and time bound. There must be a time. So time frame I have already allotted to you. It is 5 years. You have to take care of other part of being a smart goalkeeper. Are we all ready with 2 goals for ourselves 5 years from now? Please unmute and tell me, are we all ready with the 5 goals? Sorry, 2 goals. Please unmute and tell me, are we all ready with the 2 goals that we have 5 years, that we'll be having 5 years from now? Are we telling in the chat box? Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. So if we have the 2 goals now, the next step to move on to is break down this goal, the 2 goals, into the skills that you will be needing to achieve these goals. What are the skills that are required when you are on a journey to achieve this goal? You have to identify at least 2 skill set. I have given a place of 4 skills, but minimum 2 skills are a mandate. If you are not able to identify, then I think right level of self provocation is required, because anything if we are doing for a self development, we are definitely going to need new skills for it. So 2 new skills you need to identify, and in the next step you have to identify the 2 main hurdles that you are going to face on this journey of achieving this goal. What will be the 2 main hurdles that you are going to face while on this journey to achieve the goal that you have identified in the previous steps? So the 2 steps now include identifying your skills and then identifying the hurdles in your path. If we are done with that, then the last step here is to identify the accountability partner. Who will be accountable for my this growth, my this set goal? If I achieve this goal, this journey, whom do I be accountable to? Who can ask questions to me about whether I am on the right path or not? This accountability, yeah, please tell me. Anybody has a question, please feel free to ask. It is said that no questions means no understanding or no work. So if I'm not getting a question or a query, I understand that the exercise is not going very positively. Please ask questions if you have any. So my accountability partner can be my friend, can be my spouse, can be my parents, can be my sibling. Anybody whom I feel will be actually serious and interested in my goal achievement, or anybody who will be impacted by this goal achievement can be my accountability partner. Have we all done this exercise? Yes, Mr. Anil, thank you for being with me. I need queries. Either I'm explaining it too well, which I doubt, or this is just going not where it should be. Please ask questions, please interact, and wherever you have slightest of the doubt, please ask, because it is not going to cost anything. It is okay to ask whatever you feel like. Anybody, any query, any thought about it, anything, please share. Okay, at least let me know. Are we done with this exercise? Have we set the
Ma'am,
goal,
may I?
identified? Yeah, please, Mr. Anil, please tell me.
Ma'am, when we talk about goal setting,
Mm-hmm.
we ask others to tell their goals. There are two kinds of people. There are some people who do not share the goals. There are some people who tell the goals to others.
Mm-hmm.
And people are afraid to share their goals because they think that people will laugh at my
People will
goals.
judge.
Yeah, they will criticize, they will judge, they will. And at the same time, there are some people who say you can share the goals, let them laugh. So you will get the energy to complete your goals. So, how
Mm-hmm.
do you look at this approach? Like,
See, I believe in personal wish. I don't feel that anybody should guide anybody in doing in sharing the goal. If I am comfortable in sharing my goal with the people, it's fine. That's my personal prerogative. But if somebody pushes me to share, like if I'm not comfortable sharing my goal with, say, my friends or my parents, that's my personal wish. But if I am comfortable and I'm sharing and people are laughing at it, it's the choice of people. We should not be offended by why people are laughing. It is a trend in history that most of the achievers are initially laughed at. So it is laughing should not be a demotivating factor for us. Actually, when people laugh at you, we should be happy that people are. I have something which people are noticing, and people are threatened because of that, and that's why they found it. They found it laughable, or they found it. Uh, they they could not place it in the right. They're doing again. You're doing things differently, so that's as per me. If somebody laughs at me, it can be taken as a positive thing that yes, I am doing something which is taking notice of others, and that's how I put it into picture. Mr. Sanjeev is asking, want to know about accountability partner. Okay, so accountability partner is somebody who will help you in tracking your progress on the path of achieving goal. I'll tell you in a more elaborate manner. Today, I decided that I'll be achieving. This is X point where I want to reach, and there is a journey that I'm going to take to reach the point X. I want to take different paths, different skills. There would be a long journey, especially for long-term goals. There is a long journey, and there because of the hurdles in between, there is a huge chance that I deviate from my path. I either stop chasing my goal, or I start looking for a new goal and stop looking at taking interest in the existing goal. So there can be different deviations, and accountability partner is somebody who will make sure that I don't deviate from this path. We'll keep on asking questions. We'll keep on checking whether I am on path or not. If I am or not on path, the person will actually take the ownership to pull you back on your path. And why accountability partner is important? This we discussed yesterday. As per goal setting theory, it is evident that for increased performance, there must be important and positive feedback shared with somebody. So a person with feedback has a probability of achieving more than a person without feedback. That is why we say that in any goal setting exercise, there must be a one accountability partner with you who can make sure that you are on the right path. Am I clear, Mr. Sanjay? Yes, thank you so much. So, are we done with this exercise? Do we all, or do all of us at this point of time have two goals, two personal development goals with us? Do we all have it? Can I conclude now that we all have these two different goals in our life, which I want to achieve in next 5 years? Done. Okay. Now keep this safe with you. We'll come back to this exercise at the end of the session. Okay. Now we move on to one more question that I ask. During this exercise, what was the toughest part? Please unmute and talk about it. During this exercise of goal setting for next 5 years, what was the toughest part that you, as per you, what made you think that, oh, what a job it is, oh, this is tough, setting the goal is tough? What was the most tough part of this exercise? Please unmute and share with me.
Ma'am, for me, it were the hurdles. Hurdles can be unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was which kind of hurdles there will be during
Mm-hmm.
achieving my goal. So I thought I considered it as the toughest one.
Okay, so the decision about hurdles,
Right.
right? Anybody else? What was the tough part in this exercise? Please share. What was the toughest part as per you? We need a few more entries, few more responses. Please unmute and talk. See, I understand that we all have our reservations, but since we are being part of this session, we are spending 2 hours of our life. So it's better to be interactive, be more learning oriented. So let's talk about our own experiences. What is the most tough thing that you found in this exercise? Or you can just put it in the chat box if you are comfortable. Accountability partner decision, Ms. Pravina is telling yes. Anybody else? One more would be fine. Anybody else? Please share. Please feel free. Nobody is here to judge. We all are on our learning platforms. Nobody is going to judge you about what you are feeling. To manage critical situation was a tough part. Okay. Okay. So as per me, when I do this exercise, the toughest part that I face was taking decisions. Taking decisions about what goal, what should be my priority. What there are so many aspects of my life. If I'm restricting it to myself, how can I focus only on myself? This is a tough decision. Again, a decision about what skills. There are so many skills available. Which will be the best facility? I cannot have it all. Not all the skills I can possess. So which one to choose? Which one will help me to reach my goal best? What are the obstacles? And during this obstacle understanding exercise, it is very important to know that yet we at times don't see certain things as obstacle. And during the course of journey, when we are on the path of achieving this goal, we realize that okay, this was also obstacle. So for me, the toughest part for this exercise was decision making. Decision making on a lighter note. These are the two characters. They say making decision is hard. So the other partner is saying why. They say at any juncture you might make a mistake in making the decision. Is that so? The other partner is telling. The first partner is telling if you make a wrong, if you make a mistake while taking any decision, it is all lost. Whatever I have, everything is gone. Then the second partner is agreeing with the first partner. Yes, it is a tough decision. So this is a lighter note. Uh, Decision making, if you actually feel, is a very, very tough part of our life. When we are talking about decision making, I'm not talking about the small decisions that we take daily in our life, like what to wear, what to cook, what to eat, where to go, where to sleep, what to watch. All these are tough decisions that we take daily in our life. They are tactical decisions. But here we are talking mostly about the serious decisions of our life, which actually decide the course of action that our life is going to take. Okay. Uh, Especially in regards to goal setting, there are many tough decisions like actually, where do I see myself? We all are working, chasing something, but if we ask to self reflect ourselves, it is very difficult to see ourselves 5 years from now. Even if when I talk and I talk to myself, how do I see myself 5 years from now? It is very difficult to pinpoint on something, what I'll be doing, where I will be. Today I'm fine, but how can I predict my future? So goal setting is not predicting my future. It is like forecasting my path from today to 5 years from now. What would be the right goal for me? If I choose this or that, should I go this way or that way? Decisions like what timeline should I set? Will it be more challenging if I take a shorter timeline, or will it be more challenging if I take a longer timeline? What should be more challenging and more achievement oriented? What should I put on top priority? If I put myself on top priority, am I being selfish? Or if I put my career on priority, I'm being selfish. Or if I can be in guilt that I'm not putting myself on priority. So these decisions, like how much challenge will be okay for me, these are the various decisions that we take during the process of goal setting, and these decisions actually make the process of goal setting very tough. If you ask me, the systematic goal setting process, the systematic approach of doing things differently, setting goal differently, that systematic approach, why it is more difficult? Because there are a lot of decisions involved in it, a lot of things that we need to decide, and we actually escape from these decision making because we at times feel guilt, we at times feel incapable, we at times feel not required, kind of thing in our mind. And then we move away from the path of goal setting, systematic goal setting, and what we do is we start chasing a normal life where random goals keep on coming and random thought provoking ideas we keep on following. Okay, now if I talk about a deep dig into decision making, who is a good decision maker? I would like inputs from my participants here. Who is a good decision maker as per you? Please share in chat box or just unmute and talk. Who is a good decision maker for you? What as per you is a good decision? And especially we are talking about the critical decisions of our life, not the tactical ones. Anybody, please, it's a request that we keep on interacting to make it a mutually learning session. Mr. Sanjeev is telling myself, okay. Anybody else? I'm not asking you to individualize it. I'm asking you to tell what characterizes a good decision maker. How can I tell that I am a good decision maker? Or how can I tell that my father is a good decision maker or my colleague is a good decision maker? How can I tell somebody what characterizes a good decision maker? What are the components of being a good decision maker? Please use chat boxes or just unmute and talk. We are fine here. We all are learned people, and I'm opening the forum to all my participants. Please unmute and talk. What do you think? How do you pinpoint a good decision maker? Like as per me, I say a good decision maker is somebody who thinks all the parts of the decision and not just checks one perspective, checks all the perspective, is a good decision maker. Okay, so Mr. Anil is telling welfare of all people. Good, good. More thoughts, please. Some thoughts are popping up now. I want other participants also, please do participate. Just write in the chat box what makes, for me, I would write it is perspective. Perspective, having different perspectives is an important characteristic of a good decision maker. Involvement of colleague in the process, yes. Anything else? There are many things like knowledge, agenda, focus. Please do participate. Anybody who would like to share something else? What makes a good decision maker? Passion and interest, correct. Very good, Miss Manjula. I'm impressed. Passion and interest, yes. Some more participation, please. Some more participation, please. Okay, one more. I request one more person to give their valuable thought about who is a good decision maker or what characterizes a good decision maker. Anybody else, please? Okay, so let me put my thoughts here. A good decision maker is not somebody who makes correct decision all the time. It's not somebody who says that I all the decisions that I make in my life are correct. No, somebody who is having this perspective is somewhere lacking in the overall big picture of the decision making. So a good decision maker is one who who actually thinks with number one logic. There is a rational logical thinking attached to it. Number two, there is a positive intuition. We all have intuition. They say that women have better intuition, but I feel all the human beings, we have some intuition, the gut feeling. So decision making should have number one logical thinking, number two intuition, and number three positive experiences from the past. If we combine these three things, then we start having being a good decision maker. We always see there are certain people whose decision turn up to be good, and there are certain people whose decision they don't appear to be that uh, fulfilling at the end of the process. So they say they are blessed, they are gifted, they take good decisions. It's not like that. If you actually deep dive, you understand that a good decision maker will always use these three things. Number one is a logical thinking, think with logic, rational, being intuitive. Never ever ignore your intuition or gut feeling while taking decisions. I don't say that only trust your gut feeling or intuition, but the contribution of gut feeling is a lot in terms of overall decisions that we make. And number three is the positive experiences, positive lessons that we have learned from our past experience. Why I'm telling only the positive experience? Because the negative experience have got a very strong presence. If we start thinking about negative lessons from in our life, actually point number one, there are no negative lessons. What we derive from it can be our perspective, can be a negative perspective, we can have a positive perspective. So we must be having positive perspectives from all the experiences that we are having. Okay, so to be a good decision maker, we must be having three things. Point number one, can anybody reiterate with me? Can anybody reiterate? Point number one is logical thinking. Two is intuition, good intuition, and three is anybody? Third one, please unmute and talk. The third one was
Positive
experience from
lessons learned from our previous experiences.
yes, correct. Positive lessons that we have learned from our previous experiences. So these three things together, when combined, they start forming a good decision maker. Okay. If I talk about the fraternity of teachers and professors, on an average, as per survey, every teacher makes close to
Consistency of
1,500
work.
decisions, short term and long term, every day. Sorry, Dr. Mamta, what was your point? Okay,
Ma'am,
so
consistency of work.
I was talking about a teacher making decisions. So when a teacher makes a decision, close to, as per survey, close to 1,500 decisions, 1,500 decisions a teacher randomly takes while dealing with a student every single day. So even I could not digest this at one go that, okay, do we take so many decisions? And these decisions have short-term and long-term impact on the life of their teachers. When we have so much decision making in our life, and the life of students are involved, we need to be very cautious about our decision making perspective. How do we take decisions? Because these decisions not only impact our life, these are impacting the life of our students as well, the future citizens of our nation. So while chasing that goal of being a good teacher, we all need to understand that we must be a good decision maker, a decision maker who uses logical thinking, who uses intuition, and who uses good lessons from life in order to be a quick and efficient decision maker, so that it becomes a trait of ours and we don't have to actually consciously keep on working on this, and this becomes a trait that we need to be this kind of decision maker, so that ultimately ultimately what will happen? We'll be a better decision maker on a random manner without putting that conscious effort. Okay, so moving on to dealing with the decision making styles. Anybody would like to share any thought can just unmute now and speak. I am opening the forum back to the participants. Would like to talk anything about decision making, or anything would like to give a new perspective to the discussion that we are currently undertaking? Okay, just a random thought. Whoever is there, I just want a yes from all the participants here. Let's see how many yes we have and see how many active participants are there. Only attendance is not going to help here. We must be having a yes. All the participants, just a yes from your side in the chat box. All the participants, all the active participants, a yes from your side in the chat box. So I'll request Dr. Aradhana not to take attendance, and this yes will be attendance only. That's a wake up call. I'm ringing the bell. Yes, yes. A lot of yes now I am getting. Okay, okay. That was good. So I'll move on to the decision making styles in our life. We all have a tendency to make a decision, and we all have a straight inclination towards what kind of decisions we make. There are different decision making styles in our life, and there are different styles existing. What we are following keeps on changing with the scenarios that we face. But as per the generic styles that exist in market, there are four kind of decision making styles. One is directive, second is analytical, third is conceptual, and fourth is behavioral. The four decision making styles: directive, analytical, conceptual, and behavioral. If I draw a diagram of all of this, it will look something like this: directive, analytical, conceptual, and behavioral. The decision making styles we are currently discussing are based on two parameters. One is the tolerance for ambiguity, and the second is way of thinking, whether we are thinking more rational, logical, or being more intuitive. You see, being rational and intuition are two opposite parts of this aspect. And while talking about good decision maker, I said you need to be rational as well as intuitive. You need to be logical as well as intuitive while taking good decisions. Okay, so this decision making style that we are talking about has two components on the basis of which we are discussing. One is tolerance for ambiguity, as in how much clarity I seek while making a decision, or how much comfortable I am with ambiguous situations while making a decision. So a person with low tolerance for ambiguity and more rational thinking will be a directive decision making style person. Low tolerance for ambiguity and more rational thinking. Somebody with high tolerance for ambiguity and more rational thinking will be analytical. Somebody who is more intuitive and high tolerance of ambiguity becomes a conceptual decision maker. And somebody who is having more intuition and less of tolerance for ambiguity is having behavioral decision making styles. Doing some in-depth discussion about these styles, I'll start discussing them one by one. The directive decision making style we are currently discussing. These are the people. While discussing this, I would request you to do a self thought also. Which category do you put yourself in? Don't share with me if you are not comfortable, or share with me on the forum if you are comfortable. What do you think is your decision making style? Then we will also have one exercise which will tell us that what is our decision making style. This is one questionnaire. This is a standard questionnaire which helps people identifying their own decision making style. So while discussing, please keep on thinking. The first decision making style is directive, which tells that these are the people who are quick decision takers. That okay, this has come, and they'll take a decision. They focus on solution. The agenda for directive decision makers are quick solution. Reach the solution, close the topic, then move to the next problem. They avoid ambiguity. Whatever a solution is there, they are not risk takers. So whatever is convenient, status quo, whatever is available, they'll choose it and move on. Directive people are logical based. So you cannot actually convince a directive person to be more thinking about intuition. They will have more inclination towards rational thinking, logic. This was done this way, and so this. So people who are more into science and mathematics, they are logic driven. So logical people are more directive in nature, and they use their own judgment while taking the decision. So they don't take inputs from people. They use their own knowledge and take the decision. Even if inputs are coming, they'll restrict themselves and they'll focus more on their own knowledge and judgment skill. So these were the characteristics of people who are directive decision maker. Moving on to the second decision making style, which is analytical. Now, analytical people are they take time to analyze things. They take all overall perspective. They are very high on tolerance for ambiguity, and they are very rational, logical thinking. So again, they don't go on intuition. They take a lot of time to analyze. If this happens, what will happen? If this does not happen, what will happen? If I choose this option, what are the possible outcomes? What will the further outcomes of the possible outcomes? They will do a deep digging of all the options, all the problem that they have in hand. So they take a lot of time in final decision making. They do deep study of all the data and evidences. They will not even skip one of the clue and evidence that they get. They are very tolerant for ambiguous circumstances. Even if things are not clear, they keep on digging till the time it is clear. So ambiguity, they don't get disturbed from it. They are very flexible and adaptable. So today, if they have one perspective, tomorrow, if they deep dig, they have a new perspective. Very flexible and adaptable people are analytical decision makers. They take a lot of time to analyze and then finally reach at the solution. The third style is conceptual, where people are more on the intuition side and more risk takers. The common example of conceptual decision makers are fresh entrepreneurs. They take big pictures. They take a lot of thought about what overall it is going to be like. They don't do micro management. They are more on the macro level. So think from an umbrella picture and then they decide what needs to be done. They are very high risk takers. So they don't ignore what kind of risk can be taken. They are okay on taking any kind of risk and then take the decision. But since they are very intuitive, they take a lot of time in decision making. Just because they are conceptual does not mean that right on the intuition they'll take the decision right away. Intuitions tell a lot, but they take a lot of time in decision making because they think of the big picture. They visualize different possible outcomes. So they are more on the visualizing part. They don't only go as per study, they visualize the information. They visualize, they process everything that they have in hand and try to visualize what it may look like, the big picture. The final and the fourth style of decision making is behavioral, where people are people oriented and not the task oriented. People more focusing more on relationship, making people happy. Their decisions are finally inclined towards making people happy, making people comfortable with them. They evaluate the feelings of others while making decisions. If I do this, even if I suffer a loss but my partner is happy, I'll take that decision. So even if the task at hand suffers but the stakeholders are happy, a behavioral person will go with that option. They also avoid ambiguity. They just don't like being unclear about anything. They want clarity. So they seek multiple steps of clarity with people around them. Okay. They want team consensus. They want everybody to agree with them. A behavioral decision maker will always keep on convincing you till the time you agree that, okay, this needs to be done. Or will just take a decision right away, what makes you happy, without even thinking whether the task at hand is getting compromised or not. They decide on the basis of inputs from others. So a behavioral decision maker is does not feel that he or she is sufficient to decide on something. What he feels that, okay, I take an input and basis that I decide. So the part of ownership is also missing in the behavioral decision makers. These were the four decision makers that we have discussed. And as I requested in the beginning before starting the styles, could you all see and understand what are the various decision making styles we possess? Please just let me know. Could you identify your own decision making style from the decision that we have done? Okay, so Mr. Sanjeev, would you like to share what do you feel your decision making style is?
Ma'am, behavioral.
Behavioral, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that I would like to quote here is any decision making style is not good or bad. That's the way we are. Mr. Anil is telling conceptual, that's right. So this is not good or bad, and we cannot say that we are 100% this. Okay, we all have different shades. Yes, yes, very correct. Mr. Shantanu, it's a mix up, different in different perspectives. So with my family, I may be relationship oriented, but at my workplace I may be conceptual, but with my kid I may be directive because I think that the kid is not having enough knowledge, so I be directive. I as an individual have different decision making style at different point of time, but still there is one dominant decision making style of each individual. So that dominant decision making style we need to identify and we need to work upon it. Why? I'll tell you. If I have a dominant decision making style of being directive, okay, though I keep on listening to people around me, though I keep on having a big picture, or though I keep on uh, taking the various alternatives available, but still, if my dominant style is directive, I will have a tendency that I impose my decision on people. I take inputs from everybody, I understand what they are going to tell, but then at the end of it, I will push my decision. I'll try that my decision is obeyed. If at all it does not obey, if at all the final decision is not mine, then I'm little uncomfortable. I'm little angry. I'm little agitated. My style, if it is one focused way, then it needs to be worked upon. It needs to be worked upon because different people have different perspective, and it's not possible that all the time I'm right. So a person with directive decision making is not possible that always he is right. Similarly, somebody who is having conceptual decision making cannot be right always. And if it is a dominant style of the person, at times the decisions which needs to be made quick will be delayed for long. At times where the decision is obvious, it is right in front of you, you will think so much of big picture, then you will lose the small picture, small time frame. Okay, so the point is, whatever is the dominant style that we have, we need to consciously work on it and keep on improving. These styles are, we are born with it. Okay, but at the same time, we have these are, why I'm saying born with it, because it is a part of trait. It comes from genes, how people, how our parents, grandparents were, it comes from there. But it can be worked upon it also. There can be people who are continuously working and changing. And we are, if we see ourselves also, 5 years back we were having different decision making style, today I have different, and 5 years from now I might have different. How is it changing? Because of my conscious efforts. Okay, why we have done such a detailed discussion about decision making styles? Because these decisions, the decisions that we take, are going to affect our future course of life, not only ours, all the people dependent on us, our family, our colleagues, our students. The decision that our decisions decide their future course of action also. So if my decision making style is not apt as per a particular circumstance, then I need to change. And how can I change if I don't know where I am? Okay. So for knowing where I am, there is another thing that we are going to do right now, and that is to understand the different decision making scenarios. These are real life cases, real life situation. We can call it as a case study also. I'll tell you a scenario and you have to unmute and talk about what do you feel the decision making style was and was it right or wrong. Okay. So the first scenario, I'll read it out to you all. There is a senior professor, Kate, and she has been asked to decide which week of the year all teaching staff of university should get a bonus paid vacation before the end of the year. She sends out an email survey to see how others are feeling about the possible dates. After she reads the survey responses, she asks her co-workers for input over a lunch break. When she decides which week the majority of co-workers want, she talks to the several teaching staff who will not get the choice they hoped for, making sure they are feeling all right about the decision. At the end of the day, she notifies the management and the co-workers which week will be a bonus paid vacation time. Now, please tell me, unmute and tell, we are not going to take chat box here. Unmute and talk about what is the decision making style of this professor, Miss Kate.
Ma'am, behavioral.
Yes, very true, behavioral. And was it right or wrong, as per you?
Right, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Why right? A little more
Because
deep
uh,
diving. Yes.
sure, ma'am. Because she want to uh, focus on others' view also. She cannot
Mm-hmm.
take decision of she cannot take risk on own.
Mm-hmm.
She will discuss with the others faculty members and take decision and
Okay.
evaluate the feelings of others also.
Mm-hmm. But
What
don't
week
you
will be
think
the
all this delayed the process a little bit?
ma'am, in spite of it is delay, but I think decision. If you want to take a decision,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if you want to take a decision, I think in spite of delay, I think it will be correct.
Yeah. That much is
That's why.
sufficient. This much
Yeah,
delay is
yeah,
expected.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
one more thing, one last question for this scenario. I'll ask you only. Do you think this is the approach that is being discussed here is practical? Is realistic? If I talk, be more specific, is it realistic to be done?
Actually, in some cases it is realistic. In some cases it is not realistic. When you
Okay.
talk about family, then
Mm-hmm.
one kind of
No,
technique
I'm
you
not
have.
talking about family. I'm talking just about this scenario.
Yeah, yeah,
If,
yeah.
if consider you are a senior professor, you are Kate, and you are asked to make a decision about which week all the other staff of your college or university are going to get a paid vacation. Will you opt for this? Will you
Ma'am,
send email? Will you do responses and then check for the people who are not getting? Will you do this?
ma'am, I think if we are going to invite the people's opinions about one decision, then
Mm-hmm.
it might create confusion,
Mm-hmm.
and we cannot expect the uniform decision from the majority of people. So
Yes, the point is right here. The in if I put it in one line, we cannot make everybody happy. It is just not possible. There would be somebody, few people who will be unhappy with our decision, will not like, relationships will suffer. So while this kind of decision making is good in terms of our family, we take consensus. But still, even if we are living in a nuclear family, we might have faced different
Ma'am,
circumstances.
could we use thumb rule here?
Yes, what kind of thumb rule?
Thumb rule means if most of the people are getting satisfied,
Mm-hmm.
and their perception or whatever is being
Mm-hmm.
maintained, so that
Mm-hmm.
decision could we take and then let make others to be
Yes, yes,
be
that is
calm
the
with our
ideal
decision,
approach.
and then by time they will feel no, it's okay for them also, or they will realize something that a common has been taken. for the
Yes,
benefit of
yes.
the majority, it could be.
See, that is the ideal approach that needs to be taken. Even when I'm having a behavioral decision making style, that's the ideal approach. I try to convince the people, the maximum are convinced, I take the decision. But the ideal behavior person, you think about yourself when you are put yourself in a family picture, when you are convincing all the family members to agree with you on a decision, or you're taking you want to take a decision where everybody is happy, you still will have some member of the family who is not happy. You take the decision because most of the family members were in with you, but at the end of it you still feel guilty. That 1% 2% guilt is there, that okay, this person was not happy, so next time you try to make up, next time you try to make the other person happy, that okay, this time I'm taking your decision and I'm trying to make you
And
comfortable.
ma'am, I want to interrupt another point, but
Yeah.
in office or in family,
Mm-hmm.
another thing the decision maker must be,
Mm-hmm.
he or she, I think in my view, that he has to be honest while taking this decision of his own by from soul, and the time where he is taking it, and the space or place where it is taking it, means time, place, and the persons and the perspective. If he is soul is taking soul is telling that it is true and you can go on, I
Mm-hmm.
think ultimately, if the means intention is okay, so it
Mm-hmm.
will means success. Sometimes failure may occur, but means
I
thing
agree
is
with
that
you. So
by
that
soul it
that
will be
implies,
means sincere and honest. If that is
that
true,
is
you can
indicating
proceed.
that your decision making style is not consensual, and you prefer more being directive, not in terms of being just imposing your decision. You believe more on your intuition, your knowledge, and your thing, your honesty. You believe that whatever doing with honesty and good
No,
intention, that
no, no,
should be
ma'am.
good for people.
Actually, that time I will be taking their consent also. Yes, my intention
Mhm.
is there. My lacuna is there. So I will take from others also, and then adapt those. And for the as a whole team or that means that unit or company or institute or whatever, what will be the beneficial? I will take that condition. That people will
Correct.
give their inputs, positive inputs. So then that
Correct.
we will take. Means my opinion is not will stick to my that okay, what I am telling and that
No,
is
no,
right and that
I
I will
am
do,
in
not
with
that.
you, Mr. Shantanu. I'm totally in with you. I'm understanding your point, and that's what I'm also telling, that it's a mix is what is required. So the scenario that we are discussing here is good to look at. It's good that all the consciences is taken, but it's not realistic. Not everybody can be agreed on upon something which is proposed. Okay, so it was a good decision discussion that we had. Moving on to the next scenario at hand, which is about a startup. So I'll again read it. Joe's startup retail company is performing well during their first year. He thinks about how the company can open stores nationwide in the next 5 years. When a new shopping development company begins construction in a nearby big city, he decides to open a new store branch at that site. He considers the site location, its proximity with upcoming government projects. He also considers the detriments associated with the location. Although it is a risk to open this new store, Joe is confident his team will be successful and this will help launch their brand nationally. What is the decision making style being practiced here by Joe? Please unmute and tell me. Have a read again and tell me what is the decision making style Joe is practicing here. Anybody? Anybody have any understanding what is the style Joe is practicing here? Is it analytical? Is it directive, conceptual, or behavioral? If you focus on it, he is taking a lot of risk and he's thinking of a bigger picture. 5 years from now, national brand presence. What is the decision making style being practiced here? Anybody?
Is it
Yes.
analytical?
No, not analytical. It is big picture, and it is thinking of taking high risk. Somebody who is analytical
It
is
is
high on
conceptual, I
risk.
think.
Yeah.
It is
Same
conceptual, I think.
concept.
Yes, this is conceptual decision making.
Conceptual. Yes.
Yes, conceptual decision making, where the person is more inclined towards the big picture. What will happen 5 years from now? Maybe today I'm undertaking a risk. Maybe today I'm going on a loss, opening up a new store. Don't know the probability whether this new shopping development construction is going to be successful or not. A lot of risks are involved, but still I'm taking because I foresee, I'm being intuitive. There is no data with me, there is no strong evidence. What makes it different from analytical prerna, otherwise you were correct, everything is similar, but what makes it different from analytical is he is being intuitive. He's just thinking that this will help. He has not got any data or evidence to ensure, to make sure that yes, this is going to be a successful initiative. So person, the difference between analytical and conceptual is being rational and intuitive. Somebody who is analytical will be more logic driven, and somebody who is more conceptual will be more intuition driven. So moving
Got
up,
it, ma'am. Got it.
okay, thank you so much. Now moving to the next scenario, the final scenario. John's son approaches him seeking guidance in regard to which subject he should choose in his next grade. He wanted to discuss his thoughts, feelings, and idea about various subjects on offer. He hoped that his father would try to read his mind, brainstorm, and then help him in reaching a solution. John heard his son's inputs, then directly told him to take advanced mathematics in next grade, as he has seen many successful people in recent past from this subject. John also feels that his son is great in mathematics because his grades are usually best in the subject. Please let me know what is John's decision making style.
Ma'am, he is so deciding everything about regarding his feelings that he felt like this, so his son should take this thing. So I feel it is intuitive, based on your own intuition, based on your own feeling.
But somebody who is see intuitive is a direction, okay, is a
That
component.
means
But decision making style is analytical, directive, conceptual, or behavioral.
Ma'am, analytical.
Analytical person will think of all the available options. I don't think John is looking at all the available outcomes. Just have a deeper study. John heard his son's inputs, then directly told him to take advanced mathematics in next grade. As John has seen
It is
many
directive,
successful
I think,
people.
ma'am.
Yes,
Ultimately
this is
directive.
directive. Very true. This is directive decision making style because John, although he listened to what his son is telling, his thought, his feeling, ideas, he listened to everything. But what he told is finally dependent on his knowledge that people are being successful when they are taking advanced mathematics, his knowledge that his son is good at mathematics. So, whatever decision that he is taking is only because of his knowledge and logic. There is no intuition here. He is being logical. People are being successful, and you are good. You are getting good grades. So, you should go here. And he's not taking inputs of his son. He's deciding as per his own. He's giving direction, closing the topic right away, taking quick decisions. When it's about taking a subject in next grade, he might have responded, okay, we'll talk about it, we'll do brainstorming. What he did, I listen to you, you take advanced mathematics, quick decision making. So this was a directive decision making scenario. Doing a deep dive here, do you think directive is the right decision making approach that should be taken here? Is directive the right way? Or
no,
if
ma'am, not
No,
not,
at
ma'am.
all.
No,
If
ma'am.
it
no. Very
if it
true.
works, if you win, then everything is right. That's the different
Yes.
issue. But it should not be. There should be another deep thinking style should be there, in my view.
Yes. Especially in terms of parenting, directive and being the difference between directive and analytical is very is a topic of debate. When to be directive, when to be analytical, it's a huge difference. So parenting is a very crucial part of our life, and being directive also does not help 100% of the time. Being analytical also does not help. But if we talk about this particular scenario, what do you think would have been the right decision making style? Anybody? It is directive clear. So had John taken analytical style, what would had that had been good? Please unmute and let me know. Analytical would have been good or behavioral would have been good? Anybody, please
Ma'am,
share yes.
ma'am, in that case, John have to give freedom to his son to take
Mm-hmm.
decision about the choose of the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, it will be an analytical behavior. I think would
Mm-hmm.
be more appropriate.
Okay. A
In that
mix of
case,
analytical and behavioral, right?
yeah, yes, yes, sir. In
Yes,
that case,
I
we have
totally
to,
agree with you.
yeah, yeah.
I totally agree with you. Why analytical? Because he has to, it is about the future of his son. It's about whatever
Exactly.
subject he'll be taking, the future is decided on. So this is a big decision, big life decision. So
Yes, ma'am.
even if he takes a lot of time in deciding this, there is no hurry. He
Yeah.
can do a deep dive into understanding the possible options, what are the other subjects available, where is the interest area of his son, and then being more behavioral, discussing with the son, making him happy, comfortable, that his points are taken, making him realize that he has taken the decision, rather, the decision has not been imposed on him. So, a combination of analytical and behavioral style is required in this scenario and not being directive. Now, we have discussed three scenarios, and I hope this has given you a bigger picture of what different decision making styles are and how they impact the overall course of action our life takes. Right? Moving on to, as I said, I'll give you a quick point to consider when to adopt which decision making style. You can take a screenshot of this or you can just note it down. This is a very important thing. If you ever feel confused that which decision making style should I take, just ask four questions yourself. Who, if there are any people who care for your decision, there is a decision at your hand. If there are people who care for you, who care what this decision is going to be, if there are people who know, who are aware about what decision, how this decision can be taken, they have something to contribute. If there are people who must agree, if they are not agreeing in future, there will be obstacle. If all is yes, and if how many people needs to be, if there are so many people, a lot of number of people who are involved, then that needs to be a behavioral decision making style. If your decision, there are so many people who care, there are so many people who know about it, there are so many people who needs to agree with you, and they want to get involved, then that needs to be a behavioral decision making style. Okay. When there is a situation when there's nobody to care what you are taking, there is nobody to tell you what needs to be done, and there is nobody who needs to be agreeing with you, if it is about you, then the decision making should be directive. If only you are involved and only your future course of action is involved, then the style should be directive. If there are people who care, there are people who know, there are people who must agree, but who needs to be involved, that is your decision. Then in that case, analytical decision making style should be taken. And if there are people, there is nobody who cares, but there are people who know about things, there are nobody who must agree with you, and who needs to be involved is as per your requirement, then that is the situation when you can undertake a conceptual decision. Again, I'm reiterating myself. If there is any decision making scenario where you get confused that what should I do? What should be my decision making style? Whether I should be directive, analytical, conceptual, or behavioral. If this is the conscious decision making you are doing, then you can use this as a tip. This will help you in taking the right decision making style while deciding your future course of action. Is it fine? Can I move forward or something is being noted? Can I move forward? Or any question related to it?
Madam, please repeat this table.
Entire?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll tell you. This small tip that I'm offering here, it will help you in taking a decision where you are stuck in identifying decision making style. There are at times different scenarios in our life when we don't understand how should we react, whether we should just take a decision or whether we should do a lot of analysis or whether we should just please everybody around or whether we should just think of the okay, what is going to be 5 years, 10 years from now. Okay, there are different such situations that we keep on facing and we don't know how to do it. So this slide might help you there. If there is a decision at your hand where a lot of people are actually careful about it, like this mostly happens in family. If you're deciding about, like for example, John, if you're deciding about your son's life of action, or if there is a job that you are going to undertake, in that case there are so many people who care, your spouse, your parents, that where are you going to work. There are so many people who know, like your family, in your family there might be your spouse, your siblings, your parents who know about what field you are taking, who know what specialization you take, which place you should go. Number three, there must be people who need to agree. So if you're taking a job and your spouse is not happy about it, if you're moving to a new location, your spouse is not happy, you need to convince your spouse, right? So there are people who must agree and they must be involved in the overall decision making process. If this is the scenario, then adapt behavioral decision making style. Make people happy while taking the decision. Take a decision which will save your relationship. Okay. Now there might be a scenario where nobody is there to care. You have to decide for yourself. Like this can be a very tactical example. If you are going to if you're going out on your own yourself and you're going to order a dish, you be very directive. You don't call your spouse or your friend that what should I order. You don't do that. What do? You go to menu, take the decision. Okay, this is what I'm going to eat, and you be directive about it. So basically, when there is nobody to care, there is nobody who knows, and there is nobody who must agree with you. If these are the scenario, then you can take a directive decision making approach. Am I making sense now? Is it being more clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. And analytical and conceptual as they are written, if there is nobody who cares, but there are people who know and agree, who can actually contribute in your decision making process, then you should adopt a conceptual working decision making style. And if there is people caring, knowing and agreeing with you, but you don't want to get them involved in your decision making, then then there you can take an analytical decision making style. This is a conscious effort to direct yourself to be a good decision maker, a decision maker who actually uses all the three things. What are the three things? One, what are the three things? Please tell me, what are the three things of three important components of being a good decision maker that we discussed a few slides back? Number one, please tell me. Anybody remembers?
Ma'am, logical thinking.
Sorry?
Logical thinking.
Logical thinking, correct. Number two, second component. Intuitive feeling.
Intuitive, and then positive experience from past.
Yes, positive learnings from past. So if you want to be a good decision maker and have these three things in every decision that you take, then this particular tip can help you in taking the right decision making style in the right scenarios. Moving on to the final thing where I can help you in understanding your own decision making style. It's find that many of us have different decision making styles, and we all know that we all primarily understand that what kind of decision maker I am. But still, this questionnaire will help you in knowing yourself better. So this is a self assessment tool. There are some 20 questions. See, there are 20 questions in this questionnaire. For every question, if you feel this is 100% false for you, then you mark it 1. You give it a marks of 1. Okay? Question number wise, what you can do is take a notebook, write question number 1. Like, I make sure that I have all the facts before I take a decision. Okay? If I feel this is a false statement for me, then I will rate it 1. If I see that sometimes I look at facts and sometimes I ignore facts, then I'll mark 2. Okay, and if it is 100% of the times true for me, then I'll mark 3. This is the rating scale. So you write question number 1 and your score, question number 2 your score, and similarly go down till question number 20. This is a self-assessment tool. It will help you in understanding your own decision making style. Many times participants who have taken this assessment, they have a matter of surprise for themselves. They really don't know themselves that well. And if you want to be a good decision maker and if you want to be a good goal setter, knowing yourself is the primary tool. So start answering the question in terms of marks 1, 2, and 3. If the statement, and one important thing is, nobody is going to take your solution. Nobody is going to take the answer sheet. To be honest about it, the answer should not be how do you feel you should do. The answer should be how you are doing, how you do it now, your present. It should not be the perfect scenario that needs to be done. Then you will not be able to assess yourself. You have to assess yourself by rating your present. So you have, we are at 1:28. You have 5 minutes to do this questionnaire. And once you are done till question number 9, just let me know. I'll scroll down. While rating, be very careful. If it is false, then rate 1. If it is true, rate 3. And if it is sometime true, sometime false, rate 2. Don't do the reverse. Is everybody with me doing the exercise? Please unmute and tell.
Yes, ma'am, we are done.
Okay, thank you. Should I scroll down? Is the questionnaire visible clearly to everybody? Any zoom in required? So your 2 minutes have gone and you are left with 3 more minutes to complete the questionnaire. So I've reached till question number 20. You have 2 more minutes. 3 minutes have gone. Any question, if you have clarity issue, if you are not understanding what the statement is trying to convey, please feel free to ask. Question number 12, there is a usual confusion with participants. It tells a decision doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to be right. So don't confuse here with the being irrational. It's going more with intuition. At times we don't have right evidence with us, so, and we decide that okay, whatever is the scenario, if it is feeling right, just go with it, and jo hoga dekha jayega. We'll see what happens. So if that is the scenario, you can rate yourself. If that is a often scenario that happens with you when you go with your intuition rather than looking for deep data and facts, then you can rate here yourself 3, always true. You have 1 more minute to complete the questionnaire. I hope everybody is here with me, completing the questionnaire and trying to know yourself better. Okay, so the time is gone. Everybody is done. Everybody is done. Anybody who is left with any question, please let me know. Done? Varsha says yes. Anybody who is left with any question, let me know. I'll go back. I'll give you 1 more minute surplus. Number 19. Okay. 19 and 20, I am giving you 2 more minutes if anybody is left with the last few questions. So 35, we will be closing and going to the result interpretation. Is everybody with me? 14 and 16, okay. The images, the questions are there. If you want, you can let me know. The questionnaire I will be happy to share with you all. So I can maybe forward it to Dr. Radhna, and that can be forwarded to the respective participants. Anybody who is still left? You have last 1 minute. Few more seconds. And I think, yes, we are at 35. So done. I think, yes, most of the people, we have done it. Now you have to do this kind of interpretation for yourself. So what you have to do is write the scores that you have given to question number 5, 9, 10, 15, 20 at one point. So what you can do is question number 5, 9, 10, 15, 20, you write the scores 1 point, and then at another box or a place you can write question number 1, 4, 6, 11, 16. Similarly, 2, 7, 12, 14 and 17, the question and the result of these 5 questions you need to write at 1 point. And the next 5 are 3, 8, 13, 18, 19. The scores that you have given here to these questions, you need to be written at one place. and then they need to be summed up. They need to be added together to achieve the final score. Is it clear to everybody? Or anybody needs more clarity? Please unmute and tell me. I can't see the chat box at the moment. Please unmute and tell me if there is any clarity issue with this. How do you need to score yourself? I think we have a learned participants here, so clarity I don't think will be an issue. But still, if somebody needs some clarification about how this scoring is working, please let me know. Feel free to ask here. And when you are done, please let me know. Unmute yourself and tell me that you are done. Do we all of us have 4 final scores? All of us, we have 4 final scores? Anybody would say yes or no? Do we have 4 final scores here? I would request the participants to please respond and let me know. Do we have 4 final scores or don't we have it? You want the screen to be shared again? Do you want the scorecard visible again? Yes for scorecard or yes for, okay. I'm showing the scorecard again. What you can do is you can write the question numbers and then continue doing the scores for yourself. Write the question numbers for directive decision maker. Questions, question number 5, 9, 10, 15, 20 are decisions related which indicate directive decision making style. Question number 1, 4, 6, 11 and 16 are analytical decision making style. Question number 2, 7, 12, 14 and 17 are for conceptual decision making style. And lastly, question number 3, 8, 13, 18 and 19 are for behavioral decision making style. You can note down the question numbers at one go and keep noting down the scores that you have given. Add them individually to reach the final score. Now the interpretation here is that the maximum score where you have got is your dominant decision making style. So if the maximum score that you have is in analytical, then that is your dominant decision making style. Though you might not feel while doing the taking the decisions in day-to-day life, but this questionnaire, if you have done it honestly, it indicates your dominant decision making style. There might be a scenario when you get an equivalence, similar scoring, two different, then they are both of them become your dominant decision making style. So the point. So the please let me know. Are you all in here? Are you all doing it? Do you have the final scores with you? Anybody, please let me know so that I can move forward with the.
Direct and analytical I have done, man.
Okay, so the final scores you have all the 4.
Not all the 4, but direct and analytical I have done. The C and B is remaining.
Okay, so maybe you can, you all can continue with your scorecard and you can finally identify What needs to be done from this exercise is, if you from at the end of this exercise you identify that there is one dominant style and others are very submissive in front of it, then you need to work on it and make a balance, create a balance. Questions will help you to understand what makes you more directive or more analytical or more conceptual or more behavioral. If anything is very big and others are very small, then that big needs to reduce and the smaller needs to grow big. So there should be a balance between these four decision making styles, and that will end you up in creating taking good decisions in your life, the good decisions which are intuitive, which are logical, and which are driven from the positive learnings in past. Okay, now that we have learned so much about decision making, what I would request you to is, after the this session is over or at the end of day today, sit in a quiet place and do this goal setting exercise again. I hope that the exercise that you have done today in the beginning of the session and what you will do after these all decision making discussions that we have done, it will be different. Now you will be more focused, more you'll be better in taking certain decisions while writing entries in this exercise, while deciding your goals, your skills, hurdles, and accountability partners. You will be having more clarity after this complete discussion that we have done today. Do this exercise once again, and as per my knowledge and as per my experience, usually people have completely different goal set at the end of it. So what you did in the beginning and what you will do now after the session will be completely different. We hope for a better knowledge and we hope for a better clarity for you in the terms of goal setting that you're doing for your self development. On a closing note, I would like to share a small video which will help you all to understand and have a smaller picture about how goal setting, motivation, decision making help us in reaching the overall goal of our life. Is it visible to everybody? Is the video visible to
Yes,
everybody?
yes, madam, feasible.
Okay, and is the audio also there?
Yes, audio also come.
Okay, please have a look. I hope the video gave you a clear picture of how goal setting, motivation, decision making ultimately leads us in excelling our life, not only reaching our goals, but excelling and being the best of our potential in our life. So this was all from my side, and I hand it over back to Dr. Radna.
Ma'am, one single question.
Yes, please.
That chart was there, no? Like 4 tables, the scores were there. So thing is that, could you please tell me if in all cases any benchmark is there that all three, suppose uniformly driven, suppose all are coming, the lowest one is 1. So in all cases, it may come down to everywhere 4 or 5. 5 is the minimum in 4 cases. So what should be the minimum, so that I have to I have to think that obviously I will think always for the development, but should I try for 12 everywhere, or so 5
No,
or 12 in between?
you
What should
cannot
be
be
the,
12 everywhere
no, no,
because that is
15,
not
15
how.
actually. 5 3s are 15. So
Yes, yes.
15 and 5, it should vary. So what should be the case that where I can feel that okay, it is okay for me, so I can go
You
on carrying.
cannot be, see, if we see mathematically, we cannot be 15 in any of in all of them. We cannot be. It's not practically possible. So what, there is no benchmark as such, but as I told you, there should be a balance between. One should not be very heavy. It's not that one is 15 and another is 5, or one is 15 and another is 7. There should be a balance that every all the in all the four styles, we should be somewhere close to, if we talk about 5 to 15, the average comes out to 10. So 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 is the average score. If you are getting in all these four dimensions, then that makes you a good decision maker. But it's not like you answer the question and you get the right scores. It's like it should come naturally. So this questionnaire you can keep handy with you, and every time that you feel that you've consciously made a change in yourself towards being more directive or more analytical or more behavioral, wherever you feel that you are lacking, wherever the score is low today, closer to 5, you need to work in that area. And when you see that you have done certain specific work, you retake the questionnaire, and if you see the score has improved, then that is a conscious decision. Okay. So
Right now it is coming around 11 and 12 in all the cases. So is it
So that,
okay?
yeah, that makes you a more balanced decision maker. You
11.
use the right decision making style wherever required.
Okay.
You
Thank,
use
thank,
the
thank you.
correct
Thank you.
thing that needs to be done in the given
Thank
circumstances.
you. Ma'am. Thank
Yeah. So that was all. Any more questions? I'm open, or it's over from my side. Link of video, yes, I'll be giving it to Dr. Radna, and this can be. I'll in fact share all the activities and handouts with Dr. Radna, and this can be forwarded to all the participants. It was a nice 2 hours that I spent with you all. It was a pleasure of mine for yesterday and today also. And thank you, Dr. Radna, for inviting me on this forum.